اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة يا أبا عبد الله. إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونصب لك الحرب، وبالبراءة ممن أسس أساس الظلم والجور عليكم، وابرؤوا إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس أساس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانا وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشياعكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم، وتقربوا إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالات وليكم، وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحال، وبالبراءة من أشياعهم وأتباعهم. إني سلم لمن سالمكم، وحرب لمن حاربكم، وولي لمن والاكم، وعدو لمن عاداكم. فأسأل الله الذي يكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم، ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم، أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة، وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة، وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام المحمود لكم عند الله، وأن يرزقني طلب الثاني مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم. وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يعطيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يعطي مصابا بمصيبته، مصيبة ما أعظمها وأعظم رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض. اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تنال منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة. اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد، ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إن هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلة الأكباد، اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله، في كل موطن وموقف وقف فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم لعن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية، عليهم منك اللعنة أبد الآبدين. وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه. اللهم تضاعف عليهم اللعنة منك والعذاب الأليم. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياتي بالبراءة منهم وللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام. اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك. اللهم لعن العصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله. اللهم لعنهم جميعا 100 مرة. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين 100 مرة. اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وابدأ به أولا ثم العن الثاني والثالث والرابع. اللهم لعن يزيد خامسا والعن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجان وعمر بن سعد وشمرا وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة. سجود. اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم. الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي. اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا موجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. وصلى اللهم على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.
أفلح من صلى على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو انقص منه قليلا أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا. إنا سنلقي عليك قولا ثقيلا. إن ناشئة الليل هي أشد وطئا وأقوم قيلا. إن لك في النهار سبحا طويلا واذكر اسم ربك وتبتل إليه تبتيلا.
رب المشرق والمغرب لا إله إلا هو فاتخذه وكيلا واصبر على ما يقولون واهجرهم هجرا جميلا وذرني والمكذبين أولي النعمة ومهلهم قليلا إن لدينا أنكالا وجحيما وطعاما ذا غصة وعذابا أليما يوم ترجف الأرض والجبال وكانت الجبال كثيبا مهيلا إنا أرسلنا إليكم رسولا شاهدا عليكم كما أرسلنا إلى فرعون رسولا فعصى فرعون الرسول فأخذناه أخذا وبيلا فكيف تتقون إن كفرتم يوما يجعل الولدان شيبا السماء منفطر به كان وعده مفعولا إن هذه تذكرة فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه سبيلا إن ربك يعلم أنكم تقوم أدنى من ثلث الليل ونصفه وثلثه وطائفة من الذين معك والله يقدر الليل والنهار علم أن لن تحصوا فتاب عليكم فاقرأوا ما تيسر من القرآن علم أن سيكون منكم مرضى وآخرون يضربون في الأرض يبتغون من فضل الله وآخرون يقاتلون في سبيل الله اقرأوا ما تيسر منه وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأقرضوا الله قرضا ولأنفسكم من خير تجده عند الله وهو خير وأعظم أجرا واستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وصلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا حجة الله يا ابن الحسن يا صاحب الأسر والزمان صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وعلى بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم لعن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر تابع له على ذلك اللهم لعن الإصابة التي جاهدت الحسين وشايعت وبايعت وتابعت على قتله اللهم لعنهم جميعا For the easing of the heart of Rasulullah during these days of Fatemiyah and Muhsiniyah, we send the salawat to the heavens with our loudest voices. Allahumma salli ala. To ease the heart of Amir al-Mu'mineen as he would see this tragedy unfold in front of him, we send a second salawat to the heavens to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Allahumma salli ala. And to ease the great-grandson of Fatemiyah al-Zahra and the great-grandson of Hazrat Muhsin, our awaited savior, the one who will hold the slogan, Ya li tharat al-Hoseine al-Qa'im min Ali Muhammad. We send our third salawat bi'a'la aswatikum. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. It is through tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and only from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that each and every one of us are able to be present to mourn this lady. There is nothing else aside from tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has given you and I the opportunity to lament and mourn this noble lady and her unborn son, alayhimus salam. There could have been many reasons as to why we would not have known of this noble woman and her dear son had it not been for the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So firstly, we thank Allah for granting us this understanding of such a family, this love for such a family. But ultimately we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase our ma'rifah, our understanding and cognizance of this family, because it's through understanding them and only through them can we truly reach proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and therefore increase our ma'rifah of Allah. And for sure, anyone in this life who has true cognizance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to succeed in this world. It's no surprise that Amir al-Mu'mineen goes to say that by the Lord of the Kaaba I am successful. And it was Amir al-Mu'mineen who had true ma'rifah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tonight you've made a decision to leave whatever it is at home, to leave whatever TV program it was at home, to leave whatever ease of the sofa it was at home, to be a little bit more uncomfortable, solely for a reason that each of us need to truly identify. And I say this at the beginning of any program, which is, look, this can be a Saturday night, or if it's any other week of the night, but this could be any Saturday night for you, or it can be an ascension. It can be any old week, any old day, any old time, or it can be a specific moment that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knew that you were going to make this very decision to come out on this night to commemorate this holy household. But why? What is it about this night that could be the written chapter in your book, in my book? Because honestly, we can spend the next 2 hours here together and mourn and inshallah shed a tear, and that be the end of it. Nothing changes, Sadiq remains Sadiq, Muhammad remains Muhammad, Fatima remains Fatima. No difference. Or it can be a new chapter, or it can be a conclusion to a chapter that you're embarking on. And it can be part of that book that concludes with you going to the next volume, which is the understanding of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for you. But in order to make that happen, you consciously and I consciously must make a decision. Now, what is this trip about? What is this night about? We go to ziyarah, many of us have been to ziyarah inshallah. If we haven't, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the visitation of Ali Muhammad alayhim wassalam, wherever they are buried. That we pray that when we go on these journeys, that we increase our understanding of them. We see in the ziyarat, it says, عَارِفٌ بِحَقِّهِمْ, that we increase this understanding of them. And it's the same when you attend the majalis of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam. That you can either, when you go to ziyarah, you turn up, you cry, you come home, done. Post the picture, finished. The same that you come to Majlis, you come, you check in, you put it on your Instagram, done, finished. Or you always know there's that one guy in that ziyarah group who you see it's a transformative time for them. That actually the time you see them 2 months later, you're like, whoa, this brother or this sister has changed. That visitation of Hoseine did something for them. And there's me, I invested my money and time and nothing changed. Similarly, you see people come out of Muharram and you're like, whoa, they've changed. And I'm still the very same. And Fatemiyah and Muhsiniyah really comes at a time where perhaps the energy level of Muharram and Arba'een has started to dissipate a bit. And subhanAllah, we have 3 narrations to elongate this understanding of Fatimah al-Zahra and her family. So look, the decision is for you and I to make at this point. Either it's an average night, either it's normal, either tomorrow I wake up and I'm the same person, or actually tonight is the start of that new chapter, is the start of that new volume. It doesn't matter how loud it is, it doesn't matter how quiet it is, it doesn't matter how busy it is, it doesn't matter how cramped you are. Ultimately, it's your soul's journey tonight. And it's whether Sayyidah Fatimah and Hazrat Muhsin alayhim as-salam, whether they sincerely see your sincere devotion and love and conviction in them to seek nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as we welcome our first guest to begin our lamentations for this perfect family, I ask you just to take a few seconds to reset the switch, to reset the intention, to define the intention perhaps if none has been set already. And maybe this could be the night that is transformative for you, that saves you from the moment when you think Fatimah al-Zahra would have come to save you, but actually our sins and the cancers of our souls are actually too much for her to actually see any use in us being salvaged from the hellfire. Tonight's the decision. So inshallah we begin by welcoming our first reciter who will take us through the tragedies of Fatimah al-Zahra and her unborn prince Hazrat Muhsin. We welcome Sajid Ali Deen with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلى على محمد وآل محمد. And he breathed into Adam his spirit, so the creation of man was complete. And he breathed into Adam his spirit, so the creation of man was complete. He had all that was needed to begin his journey. He was blessed with a soul and given a status not seen before, one of which even Jibreel was unworthy. It's not hard to imagine him crafted to perfection, but he wasn't perfect yet. God hadn't finished. Well, nearly. There was a piece of knowledge that was missing from the very first human, one that would finally let him see clearly. Without it, he'd eat a fruit. Without it, he'd eat a fruit. And truly, he cannot be blamed. He approached the tree innocent and sincerely. Without the names God then taught him, none of us would stand a chance. Without the names God then taught him, none of us would stand a chance. Without the name Fatima, we're not even human, really. Her name sprung an ocean, which we now call this world. Her name sprung an ocean, which we now call this world. It lit a match we call the sun and pushed planets that around it circled. She mothered everything from her father to heaven's river. She mothered everything from her father to heaven's river. Instead of cradling Muhsin, the universe she cradled. I found myself scattered. There were souls everywhere. God had gathered us together, some information to share. We'd been there for so long, wondering what was next. Some whispered to each other, but to speak louder no one dared. I met others and felt in a strange way connected. I wanted to ask, do I recognize you from somewhere? But surely not. This was just the beginning. Surely not. This was just the beginning. I didn't know what I was, let alone who or when or where. Most were preoccupied, running from themselves. Some begged to be let down. Others already kneeled, uttering a prayer. It was a land of souls. It was a land of souls waiting for something, and when the moment God chose came, an angel announced, "Lower your glare." A soul cloaked in light would enter our crowd. The rest of us couldn't see. We found ourselves bowed, and just as the weight became all too much, she raised a hand, and it began, just as God had vowed. What was to be my life began. In a mercy of God, I would grow. What was to be my life began. In a mercy of God, I found myself grow. There was more to me now. There were fingers and there were toes. I was able to move a little. Although space was limited, my heart began to beat. My heart began to beat, and flesh surrounded it like clothes. I was breathing through a tube. I was breathing through a tube. Air that was fed to me. I don't know what I'd have done if that tube had closed, but by the mercy of my Lord, who adorned my soul with bone, I realized I wasn't alone, and my eyes from their sockets rose. And as the first ray of light entered developing cells, I realized there was just one source to all of the light that glows. Her light pierced every organ I had in me forming, and to devote every part of me to her. In that moment I chose, from the womb in which I was blessed to begin. She was by my side from day one. It was like having a twin, but how I wish my life ended right there and instead continued the life of Muhsin. I sat in comfort and warmth and heard all my mother heard. She'd speak to me sitting on her prayer mat. We'd go for early walks and she'd describe the streets. I'd picture the world throughout our morning chats, and one day she took me to a new place. It made me nervous. There were sounds, I'd not heard anything like them yet. So she felt my distress and placed a hand over my house. She called out a name that I would never forget. His name was repeated with every hardship she felt, every cramp and every pain. To Hoseine she'd dedicate every eye wet. And in these gatherings she'd take me to, from before I'd exist, listening to his name was like watching a sunset. It was around this time that I came to realize, at each stage of my being I'd have infallible allies. But it became clear their holy lives would be full of sorrow, and I prepared myself to share their every pain and every cry. I'd spent all that time alone, just me and my Lord. Before I came into this world, I bore witness to His power. I felt like I had a connection. I felt like we had a connection, a secret or two, like the turning of a bud into a flower. It was only when I sat through my first Majlis, I heard there was someone who God loved more. It was only when I sat through my first Majlis, I heard there was someone who God loved more. He loved her so much that she became God's secret, who the rest of creation was created for. All this time I had thought I was the most important to God. Each second of my presence, each second of His presence, I'd exalt and adore. He made me feel like I was the only existence, and that all of His attention was focused upon me. I could have swore my life had only just begun, but I realized my mistake when I heard them describe her and claim they'd die for her sake. I felt her light inside me more than the air in my lungs, and I felt my bones rot when they said her rib would break. I slowly started to understand she was even more than I thought. I thought she was an angel sent down to look after me alone. I'd have to repent for years now, after finding out the truth. I didn't know who she was. If only I had have known. How could I reduce her to a simple angel? Why didn't God tell me? For my sin, how can I atone? It might be because had I recognized her before him. It might be because had I recognized her before him. It might be because had I recognized her before him. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I slowly started to understand she was even more than I thought. I thought she was an angel sent to look after me alone. I'd have to repent for years now after finding out the truth. I didn't know who she was. If only I'd have known. How could I reduce her to a simple angel? Why didn't God tell me? For my sin, how can I atone? It might be because had I recognized her before him, maybe Zahra I would have worshipped alone. How merciful is that Lord who endowed me first with his spirit. Only then from her light the skin on my bone was sown. Whenever this bounty some calls life comes to an end. Whenever this bounty some call life comes to an end, after the name of God, write her name on my tombstone. I grew older, life took over, people came and went, but she was always there, Fatemiyah and her children. They became more like friends. I didn't have many others, and I could never have guessed how much I'd need them. I was studying, day after day, I'd learn something new. She had inspired me to go out and gain an education. Behind each classroom door that I would enter, there was a room full of knowledge and information. One day she showed me another door. One day she showed me another door, her very own, and how behind it stood nothing but illumination. I was taught before I enter a room I should knock. And she revealed how they failed to obey this regulation. I saw them raise a hand towards her door. I couldn't tell which was louder, her scream or his roar. I never knew light so beautiful could be burnt. I never knew God's secret they would dare to ignore. There was one friend I remember. He was quiet, unlike the others. I kept catching him staring straight up to the sky. He described it as a mental health day when he didn't turn up one day. That wasn't like him, so I had to ask why. We spoke about his worries. For some time he said he had none. It took a while, but then he begun. I'd empathize with the maze we both had for our heart. The pain in his eye was like a mother who'd lost her son. He told me it was his sister. She was no longer pregnant. I gazed upwards like he would. I stood there stunned. He'd cry. So would I, but not for him. We'd recall the wail of Fatemiyah. Oh Father, they've taken away your grandson. And so this is how it went on. Each moment I shared with the family to whom my allegiance I declared. From birth to this moment, and until the very end, to see that light one more time I prepared. And when the time came, I found myself scattered. There were souls everywhere. God had gathered us together, some information to share. We'd been there for so long, wondering what was next. Some whispered to each other, but to speak louder, no one dared. I met others and felt in a strange way connected. I wanted to ask, do I recognize you from somewhere? Surely not. This is just the beginning. I didn't even know what I was, let alone who or when or where. Most were preoccupied, running from themselves. Some begged to be let down, others already kneeled, uttering a prayer. It was a land of souls, waiting for something. And when the moment God chose came, an angel announced, lower your glare, and a soul cloaked in light would enter our crowd. The rest of us couldn't see. We found ourselves bowed, and just as the weight became all too much, she raised a hand, and it began, just as God had vowed. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
And we thank Brother Sajid again with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Yesterday I was having a conversation with a colleague at work, and after a very long conversation we got on to the point of values and how values are so intrinsic to oneself in terms of their motivation and their passion and their ability, and how values can really get people past the toughest of times, and values can be the reason as to why someone excels to the best of their times. And at the end of the conversation, I'm sure many of you have had something similar. He said to me, he was like, so who are your mentors? I'm sure he must have some mentors because, the job's difficult and whatever. And I said to him, I was like, obviously we go to these pilgrimages very often. There are people who are buried there and they're our mentors. He's like, oh, okay, obviously they're dead, so there must be people like them, like the scholars. And I said, yeah, the scholars, they're there, they have they're important. But no, I'm saying that the people that actually are buried there, that they're my mentors. I don't get it, they're dead. How are they your mentors? And I know all of us have these kind of moments where we try to explain to people, what is it about the lure of ziyarah that makes us want to go year after year, even month after month? That what is the lure of these individuals that makes us want to come week after week, if not month after month, to their celebrations and their sorrows? And there's something about them. It's their values perhaps that shine onto us, that make it addictive to us towards their light. But the crazy thing is as I was saying this to him, I was again reflecting back to my ziyarah trip just a month ago and thinking, we see that line so many times that I am friends with those who you are friends with, and I am the enemy of those who you are enemies with. I was thinking, this whole time, yes, fine, you're friends with Jabir, I will look up to Jabir as well. You're friends with Habib, yes, I'll do ziyarah of Habib when I come to do ziyarah of your Imam Hussein. Or you're friends with Abu Dhar, okay, I will make sure I remember Abu Dhar. Okay, fine, maybe that's the friends part. But I was thinking, okay, who are their enemies? Okay, the ones who killed them, the ones who tortured them. What is it about those individuals that made them the enemies? Fine, they killed them. Fine, they tortured them. But what was it in their values, or what was lacking from their values, that enabled them to get to such a terrible state in their mindset, in their intellect, that they could commit such a crime? And ultimately, in most cases, it boils down to what? Ego, hunger for power, jealousy of those who had power. Seeing a man like Ar-Ridha alayhi salam emerge from a house on Eid Day in such humble clothing would tear that heart of the Abbasids. There was something about this ego, this pride and arrogance of these enemies of them, that created them to be enemies of Ahl Muhammad. And I thought, well, hold on. Are the enemies of Ahlul Bayt those who hold those traits too? Is it just the ones who actually killed each of those infallibles that's what makes you become an enemy of Ahl Muhammad? Is it the act? Just the act? Is that the only thing? Is it maybe saying, وَلَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ, that you have detest for Ahl Muhammad that makes them an enemy? I don't know. I'm not sure that's what it is. I'm sure that contributes. But maybe there's something more underlying within it. Maybe these very individuals who we go and stand and we do our idn dukhul at their ziyarah, and we say that I know, O Imam, that even though I can't see you with my eyes, I know that you can hear my every voice. I know that you can hear my every word. I know that you'll reply to my salam. And I know that as per Quran, that you are living and not dead because you are a martyr in the way of Allah. Maybe these very individuals, when I'm yearning for their salam, they'll return because it's wajib. But do they see me as a friend or an enemy? Do they really want to associate with me, the one who has the same traits of the one that killed them? And that's why I find it so rich that I'm so quick to say, yes, they're my mentors. Yes, come into my grave. I've come to visit you, you'll come to visit me, right? That was the deal. When I read Kamil Ziyara, that's the deal. I come to visit you, you come to visit me. That's how it works. I remember you, I weep a tear for you, you'll come to me. You'll use that tear to extinguish that fire. You'll come to me, right? But at the very same time, I'm enemies with those who you are enemies with as well. And you'd be enemies with those who have these cancers of those souls. And I'm one of those who maybe holds one of those tumors on my soul. Yes, come and cry. Yes, come and lament. Yes, give your money in the way of this cause. For if you are part of a moment that revives one person's life, it is as if you have given life to all of mankind. This is true in a spiritual sense as well. That if someone finds Al Muhammad through a majlis, through a lecture, through a book that you have contributed to, you are part of it, of course. But if you're also their very enemy due to the tumor on your soul, then maybe they have a decision to make. Maybe that very person knocking on their dharih, maybe that very person beating that chest is the one who Ahlul Bayt see as an enemy because I've not corrected that same vice that their killers had. Use these tears tonight to extinguish that tumor from your soul. Use that feeling tonight, that mournful state of this evening, to ask through Fatemiyah Zahra and Hazrat Muhsin alayhim wassalam, to remove any shackles from our souls so we can reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't just let it be another Saturday night. Don't just let it be another way of mourning. Don't just let it be another majlis I attended. Start to write your own chapter tonight. We welcome our second reciter, Brother Hoseine Rajab Ali, with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صلوات الله محمد وآل محمد. Inshallah, I'll be reciting two pieces of poetry tonight. The first, the story of Bibi Fatima and another young orphan. And the second, the story of the tragedy of Imam Hussein and his family. Salawat Allah Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Let me tell you a story. Let me tell you a story of two young orphan daughters who could not bear to live when their fathers left from this earth. The Lady of Light Zahra and our little Sakina hear the cries of two daughters and the crackle of a fire. Hear the cries of two daughters and the crackle of a fire. The man with the greatest life, the man with the purest death. Tell me, how do we live on when from us our heart has left. So we'll cry through the day and night, we'll cry till our final breath. Hear the cries of two daughters and the crackle of a fire. Two women that have suffered under the cruelest tyrants. Two women that have suffered under the cruelest tyrants. One caught under the burning door, one runs from the burning tent, one has her earrings ripped out, the other lost her Hoseine. Hear the cries of two daughters and the crackle of a fire. His green dome provides no rest as he sees his children's pain. Hearing his woman screaming as his house is burnt and slain, Ali dragged onto the streets, Hoseine dragged upon the plains. Hear the cries of two daughters and the crackle of a fire. Father, you said treat orphans with love kindly and gently. Father, you said treat orphans with love kindly and gently. So when they see the fire, why don't they come and help me? They left my dress burning, they left my dress burning, they pushed the door falling. Hear the cries of two daughters and the crackle of a fire. Hear the cries of two daughters and the crackle of a fire. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. A young boy in Medina, running toward his grandfather, he sees tears in his eyes. Why do you cry, Rasulallah? An angel has shown me the future of Ahlul Qisa. Hoseine, how will I live seeing you die in Karbala? Come here to your Nana, let me hold you between my arms. You'll see such tragedy, there is no grief like your story. You'll hear your mother cry very soon, dear, after I die. Just know that she'll still smile, knowing we'll meet in a short while. But while she waits to see me, she'll undergo trial after trial. Be strong for your mother, look after my only daughter. She'll see such tragedy, there is no grief like her story. You'll hear your mother scream as the door breaks and falls on her. My family betrayed by ones who say they're my followers. You'll see Baba Ali dragged on the streets by the accursed. You'll hear a call for Fizza, my Mohsin's gone, he's been murdered. You'll see such tragedy, there is no grief like her story. You'll see a man lonely, giving his wife her coffin. No pain greater than his pain when he sees what truly happened. Bruises and battered arms, his unborn son, the rest unspoken. Her ribs breaking his heart, leaving a man truly broken. You'll see such tragedy, there is no grief like your story. You'll wipe your sister's tears as she wipes the blood from his head. Poison taking his soul, final moments by his deathbed. Farewell to his children, words with such love, nothing unsaid. The orphans of Ali filled the city with their despair. You'll see such tragedy, there is no grief like your story. Then there will come that day, the burning thirst, purity slain. Your brothers and sons gone, nobody left, just the bloodstains. A man sits on your chest, knife at your neck, upon the plains. Your mother calls Hoseine, now is your time, leave all your pain. Your mother calls Hoseine, now is your time, leave all your pain. You've seen such tragedy. There is no grief like your story. You've seen such tragedy. There is no grief like your story. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
أحسنتم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Just last week, as you all know, the tragedy of the plane from Tehran occurred. And one of our family members, our uncle from Canada, was involved in that accident. And one of the things that then went through my head over the last few days was just that thought of, if you are on a plane and if you are in a kind of moment where you know almost death is imminent, what is your reaction? Like, what do you actually do in that moment? You know this plane is heading towards the floor. You know what's coming. What do you physically do and what do you mentally do in those last 10, 20, 30 seconds? And it really was that for us, I think, as a family, it was a real, I think that sudden nature of it is what really hurts. And I think when I look to Sayyidah Fatemiyah and I reflect on, for all of us who know, who have seen family members go through pregnancy, a woman changes their mindset all of a sudden, that they become secondary and their fetus becomes the primary focus of everything. If it's difficult for them to sit in a certain way, but it's beneficial for their fetus, they will do it. If they need to eat a certain way, but they don't really like to eat that way, they'll do it. Everything becomes changed. The woman becomes secondary, and this unborn soul becomes the primary reason for their existence for those 9 months. And I think to Fatimah Zahra, and I reflect in try and imagine at that point in time where she knows this door is imminently coming through. She doesn't just have to think on, do I protect myself, or how do I mentally prepare for this moment? She now has a third cause to remind herself and say, do I protect myself? Do I mentally prepare? Or do I protect my fetus as a primary reason for my existence now? And what does Fatimah Zahra do in this moment? What does she protect first? Herself or her womb? And that loss for a mother, only a mother will ever truly appreciate. And maybe it's for Hussein to look on, to learn from his mother that, oh Hussein, you too will have to face a loss of your own son, so look at how I'm having to deal with it. Maybe it was a lesson from a mother to a son, to say, this is how I will bear with it, the same way that you'll need to bear when you lose your Ali and Al-Asghar in your own arms. But what about the heart of Fatimah Zahra at that moment? What about that noble lady and that decision she has to make as to what she protects first? And what about the husband that looks on in despair, knowing the imminent nature as to what's about to happen in front of him? And knowing that this same tragedy would repeat with the son to his side. What about this family? What about their tragedies? What about our connection to them? And what about our excuse? to not change in their way with these very tears that we feel. Allah has given them to us as mark schemes to know how to succeed in this test. And perhaps one of the reasons as to why they face these very tragedies is that so then we can reflect on them day after day, week after week, year after year, till our very end we ask for, inshaAllah. And maybe it's there so that it irks us, that it hits us, that each time we have this renewed opportunity to say, when most tears fall from my eyes because of the tragedies that they faced, that's my catalyst to change. But it's for you and I to decide, am I graduating this tear tonight, or am I just letting it be once again? As we welcome our next guest, Brother Nouri Sardar, may I please ask you to recite Surah Al-Fatiha for all of those mu'mineen who passed in that plane crash and all of the mu'mineen who have passed away in the past few days, and for all of our marhumeen present. Al-Fatiha.
Second Surah Fatiha, please. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. I'd like to begin by reciting about one of the harshest realities that we all have to face in our lifetimes, and I'm sure a reality that we have lived through and will experience as well via our family members and people that we know, which is the reality of death. And the moments that we are lowered into the grave and seek the intercession of the beloved Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, including Our Lady Fatemiyah Zahra alayhi salam. For what salvation does man have when he stands in the hereafter if he does not receive a glance from Fatemiyah Zahra? When I'm lowered into my grave and all my loved ones disappear, the sins that once brought me pleasure, now they bring me only despair. I can feel the ground tighten, whilst my lungs feel the lack of air. I see not, there's only darkness, only the void and gripping fear. How can I ever save myself from munkar and from nakir? How can I ever save myself from munkar and from nakir when I couldn't even restrain myself when shaitan whispered in my ear? Dead, in dead silence, only the moving of the earth I can hear. I hope in Allah's mercy, but I feel that His justice is near. How weighty were my sins that they may tip my scale of deeds. I cry out in fear in my grave, and yet not a single soul heeds. No friends, no family, no children to rescue me in my time of need. Even the joy that was once air, I can no longer enjoy to breathe. Every day, hour and second lived are roads that to my grave lead. The only thing left worth counting are the prayers upon my prayer beads. What hope is there for me who with his actions hadn't believed? What hope is there for me if my beloved does not intercede? Oh Allah, protect me from that first night I spend in the grave. How apt is it that the master is feared so much by his slave? Protect me from the day I watch all those who I once knew in life leave, and I am left shrouded and alone as a single human heartbeat I crave. And the darkness is suffocating with not an ounce of air saved, and the fear is so overwhelming that no man can pretend that he's brave. And you wonder on who you've upset, who forgot and who forgave, for nothing can save you now save your deeds and what little you gave. When the width of the grave is tight, its narrowness causing me pain, and I can feel the crushing of the earth, and I'm begging it to show restraint. and I can see small creatures moving, seeking the blood in my bloodless veins, and Munkar and Nakir appear, but I can't get my tongue to explain. What refuge do I have? What sort of salvation can I attain? How I yearn just one more day of life, so that good deeds I can obtain. What slope will ever be steeper? What hope is there that remains, if in the grave I am not rescued by my beloved Hoseine? What slope will ever be steeper? What hope is there that remains, if in the grave I am not rescued by my beloved Hoseine? And though my tongue refuses to move, from my soul I'll plead dearly. The same way I visited your grave, in my grave please visit me. Here, crushed by the dust, how I missed the scent of Karbala's dust so terribly. For when this world crushed me in life, it was in your shrine that I found relief. And when you come, don't come alone. Bring Abbas and his chivalry. For never have I cried out, Ya Abu Fadl, and not be saved immediately. Together, soothe my soul and ease the infliction on my body. For indeed Allah is merciful, and indeed you are that mercy. And on the day of judgment, when mankind is in fear and shaken, and my scale does not tip to good deeds but instead to evil and sin, I'll call out to the king of Najaf. I'll call out to the king of Najaf, like a father is called by his orphan. For I know that between his two hands rests both hell and heaven. I'll bow my head in shame, for I am not among his best of men, but I hope that his love for me is as great as my love for him. I hope that his love for me is as great as my love for him. For I prostrated to the Kaaba, knowing that he was born within, that Muhammad is Ali and Ali is him. No doubt and no question. In every moment of strife, a man calls out for his mother. And on this journey of death, I'll yearn the rescue of Fatemiyah, for it is she that is heaven, and heaven can be no other, and the pleasure of Fatemiyah is indeed Allah's pleasure. I hope that she notices me. I hope that she notices me, because I have no worth without her, and if she turns away from me, no hell would be a greater torture. For every man yearns something, and every heart chases its desire, and I pray that I yearn no more than a glance from Fatimah to Zahra. It may be that we have good deeds, but our sins are abundant, and to the facade that is this world, we have no detachment. The flesh of brothers in our teeth makes our good deeds redundant, and for those who forsake their prayer is no salvation, only torment. There is no hope for us sinners on the day of judgment, which is why at the door of Fatemiyah we bow down as servants. Because if the Queen of Women notices us even for just a moment, then perhaps on Judgment Day we can say we were triumphant. Then perhaps on Judgment Day we can say we were triumphant. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Second loudest salawat, please. I want to begin by looking at the tragedy of Fatimah Zahra alayhi salam through the beginning of all her sorrows, which is the departure of her beloved father Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And all the oppression of the Ahlul Bayt began with his passing. And it was there that Ali alayhi salam was left to bury him alone. While people conspired for power, he was alone with the body of the greatest man alive. And it is here that I ask and want to look at the Holy Prophet through the walai of Ali and the love of Zahra by saying, who is that holding the Prophet? Who is that holding the Prophet? Are we sure that he is dead? For I see Muhammad being buried by Muhammad. I see Muhammad being buried by Muhammad. Ali, his flesh and bone, the two souls that are one. I don't see death, no. I see a beginning that won't end. There's only one self of Muhammad. All others are pretend. There's only one self of Muhammad, all others are pretend. They thought that they could sway us with the saqifa they had planned, but we know the truth and we shall hold on to it until time's end. The only truth is Muhammad, and succeed him must he, and the only Muhammad after Muhammad is indeed Ali. The truth is theirs to own. They tell me Muhammad is gone, and yet I see his flesh and bone, holding his body and weeping as if Muhammad is gone. It's as if broken apart into two is a soul that is one. It's as if the heart cries out to the conscious, you've left me here alone. It's as if the flesh is torn from the bone and leaves it to live. It's as if Ahmed gave and gave and gave until he had no more to give. Has Ahmed really gone? It's as if Ali buries not Muhammad, but buries Ali. It's as if he lowers into the soul his own body. With it, he buries his words. Oh Ali, you are after me. Your successorship buried with him, lost to the odes of history. But fear not, O Ali, for none of us have forgotten. Your Shia will voice the truth, even if it remains just one, because we've not left you alone. We didn't hesitate to board the ark against Saqifa's flood. Our mother's milk ensured that within us not a drop of doubt flows in our blood. Muhammad and Ali are made from light, while all of them are made from mud. While they all bow down to idols, Ali bowed by his beloved. Allah blessed his face indeed, and he gifted him a womb. We call that womb the Kaaba, and toward it we make sujood. Birthed Ali did the Lord's throne, because who else had the fearlessness of Muhammad to stand at Hunain? One man stood against thousands. Tell me, how can this be explained? Bring me any like Ali, and not those who fled Uhud's plains. Ali is not just his brother. Muhammad's blood flows in his veins. Jibreel testifies himself after testifying in one Allah that there is no Fatah like Ali and no other successor. The moon to Ahmed's son. How does Muhammad remain beneath dust, hearing Zahra's cries? How does Muhammad remain beneath the dust while hearing Zahra's cries? Her wails, they flip the day into night and return souls from their demise. How can Muhammad leave a caliph that Fatima would despise? Does it not suffice that to Ali Fatima turned her eyes? Does it not suffice that to Ali Fatima turned her eyes? They tell me it's impossible that Muhammad chose Ali, but possible is the one with whom Zahra died angry. From her own father she was torn. Muhammad buried Muhammad, and over Muhammad he would pray. And from the grave of Muhammad, Muhammad had walked away. How could they strike the head of Muhammad and make his soul sway? How could they strike the head of Muhammad and make his soul sway? It's as if they prepared for his grandson on Ashura day. I ask myself when I see my beloved Hoseine behead, who is it that's killed thirsty? Is that Ali or is that Muhammad? How the hatred has grown for the two souls that are one. Because I ask again, who is that holding the Prophet? Are we sure that he is dead? For I see a Muhammad being buried by Muhammad. Ali, his flesh and bone, the two souls that are one. Ali, his flesh and bone, the two souls that are one. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Can I please get a second louder salawat, please? And a third with the loudest of your voices. For my final poem, I don't want to take too much of your time. I wanted to go through the story of the tragedy of Fatima Zahra alayhi salam, but just one specific part of that story, one that breaks all of our hearts. And before I lead into it, I want to bring you a man, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, who sits there and ponders what had happened, what would have happened if the Prophet had not told, "Oh Ali, be patient." And he was not handcuffed by his patience. And he could stand there and take revenge on the people who hurt Our Lady Fatemiyah Zahra alayhi salam. He stands there and he says, if only I were not handcuffed by the Prophet's words, if only patience did not become my biggest enemy, if only I was battling marhab with the Prophet watching me, if only I were not in chains with my burning house taunting me. If only revelation descended like it once did to my house. If only evelation were not so burdensome and weighty. If only not so many trials came with being named Ali. I faced 10,000 at Hunain, but I wish I wouldn't face today. If only Allah wanted me to be the Ali of Badr only, where I'd tear the battle in two, killing half of them easily. If only the house of Allah had kept me within its axis. No axis would break it open, but for my mother it gave way. But here we are. Muhammad is gone, and Islam had begun. I cradle Islam like a child in its infancy. The Prophet's anger is fueled, and I see his grave shaking, and I become the shuddering door of Muhammad's shaking city. If only my great Lord revealed the second Surah Al-Tawbah and told me, kill them wherever you find them, the men of idolatry. I'd become a lion again in battle, only without Ahmed, meaning it would be war, but without Allah's mercy. If only my Dhul Fiqar came alive and said, Bismillah, and the same way men feast, I would feast on my enemy. The enemy in me I defeat as I feast on their flesh, defending Zahra and oneness of Allah and belief in Allah. The same thing really. I'd become a dragon and Arabia would be in awe and take back my kingdom for the orphan, the poor and needy. I'd become a lion defending its woman and its pride, except its woman with the planets of the sky, she does tasbih. I'd leave my house to the sound of those who I've killed cheering my name. I'd leave my house to the sound of those who I've killed cheering my name. I'd unsheath my sword and hear Allah himself cry, Ya Ali. I'd come back bathed in their blood with not a cut on my body, and that's the only time anything najis would ever touch me. If only men were good and loved Allah and loved beauty and wanted goodness for this world and not tragedy after tragedy. If only men did not want to see orphans cry and widows lonely. I did not want the caliphate, but I did want to kill poverty. I do not want power, but I want to see all men fed. I do not want a throne, I want a mountain of bread I can give away. I am the justice of Allah manifested on this earth. It's because of me that the planets rotate and worship divinity. I am the secret of this world, and its secrets, they sleep in my chest. Jibreel descends and has meetings with me daily. What overflows in me sprinkles within other men. If only men understood and did not throw their heaven away. If only my house was not set alight with Zahra behind the door. If only my house was not set alight with Zahra behind the door. If only she did not push the door. If only he did not push the door and break the rib of my lady. If only she did not cry out, Ya Fadha, and instead she cried out, Ya Ali. If only Muhsin did not need to ask, for what sin was I guilty? If only my children did not have to watch their mother in pain. If only they did not have to see her cheek slap so tragically. If only they did not know what it feels like to be orphaned. If only they did not grow in a house so dark and lonely. But I can't keep saying if only, and I can't keep thinking what if. I can't keep saying if only, and I can't keep thinking what if. Men shouldn't dwell on things that might have happened in different ways. Knowing Allah is watching is the only way I can march on. If I can lift the door of Khaybar, then I can get through this surely. So I uncradle myself and I get up from the corner. I uncradle myself and I get up from the corner. I was there,
because I had felt my wife's rib when washing her body. I was there because I had felt my wife's rib when washing her body. I wipe my tears and I carry on with a broken heart, feeling just like broken bone. And I wait for Fatima to be avenged by my grandson, the Mahdi. And I wait for Fatima to be avenged by my grandson, the Mahdi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أحسنتم صلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد. Whenever we recount the masa'ib of Al Muhammad, be it that of Abu Fadl, be it that of Abu Abdullah, be it that of Amir al-Mu'mineen, be it that of any of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, we've all felt it, that as those tears fall from our eyes, we still don't quite have that closure. That closure is not there. And the time where we potentially begin to have that bit of closure is as we take on that journey of ziyarah and we march to their haram and we see their shrine and we take that step after step and you hand in your shoes and you're still holding it back. You get to the door and you seek permission and you're still holding it back. You enter into the sahan, you walk, and this moment you've been waiting for, you see that dari, you hold on to it, and at that moment you just let go. And then you feel that feeling of relief, that you're now there with them. That at the moment of their death you weren't there, but at this moment in your capability now you are. And we feel that sense of relief. And there is only one lady in Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalam. There's only one personality in Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalam. That in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wisdom, we don't have the chance or opportunity to take on this very journey. We got close to Sayyidah Zainab, potentially having that journey cut off from us. And we all felt it inside, that filling, until you reach her shrine now, and again, you feel that sense of relief. But it's for Fatima alayha salam that maybe that sense of relief only comes at her door in heaven. That maybe Allah has reserved it such that that will be the only place where we can feel that level of relief, where this emotion and this anger towards the enemy of Ahlul Bayt alayhim wassalam and this love for her will only feel a conclusion in the place where we know that she'll absolutely be, which will be in the highest of heavens. And maybe physically we can't get there, but spiritually we can. So with your tears, with that aching heart, with that choking throat, and with that heaviness, let your soul ease the soul of Zahra. Let your soul connect with that of Zahra salamullah alayha if she so wishes and if she so accepts us. And don't hold back, my brothers and sisters, because this could be the night where you begin your journey towards her and therefore towards the proximity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We welcome to begin the masa'ib and continue the masa'ib in Randatu with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
صل على محمد وآل محمد. Let our voices reach Sayyidah Zahra with the louder salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My sincere condolences to one and all on the martyrdom of Sayyidah Zahra salamullahi alayha and Hazrat Muhsin alayhi salam. And huge credit to the organizers of this event, the Forgotten Child. Since the day it was first held, they haven't let the flame of this event and the remembrance of the two individuals die down. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you and bless you for your efforts. Now we know that when we cry for Imam Hussein alayhi salam, when we mourn the tragedy of Karbala, Sayyidah Zahra personally comes and collects those tears that we shed for him. But today, let us show Sayyidah Fatima that we cry for her as well. Let us show her that we mourn the tragedy that befell her as well. And my brothers and sisters, let us not be ashamed to let our voices be heard when we cry for the house of Muhammad. And we know that Imam Al-Hoseine alayhi salam had to witness and endure the tragedy of Karbala from start to finish. But in narrations, it is Imam Al-Hasan alayhi salam that had to witness the death of his mother. It is Imam Hassan alayhi salam that witnessed the heavy door fall on top of his mother. Imagine that picture being painted for you and having to carry that for the rest of your life. And this is what this poem is about. It's about the masaib of Sayyidah Zahra through the eyes of her son, Imam Al-Hasan alayhi salam. And it's as if Imam Hassan is describing the events himself. Please recite aloud, salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Tell the ones that mourn for us. Tell the ones that mourn for us. A picture was painted for my eyes. A picture not for Hussein. A picture not for Hussein, but alone I saw the dying cries. As we were sat safe at home, as we were sat safe at home, a loud voice came beyond the door. As we were sat safe at home, a loud voice came beyond the door. Ali, your allegiance is what we need. Ali, your allegiance is what we need. Give us your hand or you shall bleed. Give us your hand or you shall bleed. My mother rose and rushed to the door. My mother rose and rushed to the door, risking her life to protect her unborn. My mother rose and rushed to the door, risking her life to protect her unborn. She then says, I am Zahra, 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 daughter of Rasulullah. I am Zahra, daughter of Rasulullah. Have you no shame harassing Fatemiyah? Then I heard them say, move away from the door, move away from the door. The men were evil to the core, actions with no remorse. Smoke had started to fill the air. The door was now in flames. Smoke had started to fill the air. The door was now in flames. My dear mother took a step back. She knew to kill was their aim. Helpless I then started to feel. Please shout salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Helpless I then started to feel. Imam Hassan says, helpless I then started to feel. Forced against the wall, my mother I see. Helpless I then started to feel. Forced against the wall, my mother I see. She fell to the floor, crying in pain. The door crushed her ribs, my cries in vain. Ya Ali, Ya Ali, she cried to my father. Listen to the last words of Sayyidah Zahra, the will of Bibi Fatima salamullahi alayhi. She cried to my father, look after Hassan and Al-Hoseine. Look after Hassan and Al-Hoseine. They have endured far too much pain, seeing their grandfather lose his life, seeing their grandfather lose his life. And soon they won't have me to hug when they cry. And soon they won't have me to hug when they cry. My brother Hussein and I entered our home. My brother Hussein and I entered our home. We saw Asma standing all on her own. Where is our mother, Ya Asma? Where is our mother, Ya Asma? Why don't you answer the children of Zahra? Where is our mother, Ya Asma? Why don't you answer the children of Zahra? something was wrong. My mother had never been still for so long. Scared, I carried on and reached her body. Scared, I carried on and reached her body. Scared, I carried on and reached her body. She has gone, Ya Hoseine, Ya Akhi. She has gone, Ya Hoseine, Ya Akhi. She has gone, Ya Hoseine, Ya Akhi. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam was heard saying about the grief of his grandfather Ali. As Imam Ali washed her body, as Imam Ali washed her body, his tears would tell a heartbreaking story. He saw the wound where her ribs were hurt. He saw the wound where her ribs were hurt. A memory imprinted forever in his heart. A memory imprinted forever in his heart. Forever in his heart. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Surah al-Mubarakah al-Fatiha.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك يا أمير المؤمنين صلى الله عليك يا سيدة نساء العالمين. Fatemiyah Zahra complains to her father in her last days regarding the way she was treated after his martyrdom. She says, ماذا على من شم تربة أحمد ألا يشموا مدى الزمان غواليا صبت علي مصائب لو أنها صبت على الأيام صرن لياليا. If the problems had fell on me, had fallen on a bright day, then even that day would have turned into the darkest nights. But Fatemiyah Zahra, why do you lament this way? What did they do to the mother of patience for her to complain in this manner? They never let the wound of losing her father to heal. They continue to torment her, reminding her that her father has left the world. Not only did they not let her mourn over her father, they stole the rights from her beloved husband and Imam, What Fatemiyah Zahra went through, only Allah knows. And tonight we shall remember a specific event which led to the martyrdom of not one but two pure, innocent, infallible souls, the Lady of Light and her unborn child. How ironic is it that these same individuals who were the first to congratulate Amir al-Mu'mineen on the day of Ghadir were the same individuals who were the most angered when he did not pay allegiance to them. They stole his rights given to him by Allah, and they expected him to give allegiance to their evil ways. In fact, they were so adamant in doing so that they dispatched an army to his house in order for him to do so. Ajarakum Allah. An army went to the house of Fatemiyah Zahra, and they began to shout and call out for Ali to come out of that house. When the enemies of Allah approached, Fatemiyah Zahra told them to leave the vicinity of the house. Then the evil tyrants made a threat which changes the course of history. He said, "O Ali, come out of that house or we shall burn it with you inside." Another member of the army said to the evil tyrant, "O man, this is the house of Fatemiyah Zahra. This is the house of Rasulullah, and she is within the house, Fatima." The evil tyrant, this so-called leader of the Muslims, replied when he got told that Fatemiyah Zahra is within the house, and he replies with, "So what? What an arrogant fool." The enemy of Allah then ordered for some firewood to be brought and placed around the house. Ya Allah, this is the house of Fatima. This is the house of Allah's pure chosen ones, the Ahlul Bayt. But they didn't care. They were only chasing after their dunya. They were only chasing this stolen power. Ajarakum Allah. And then they lit the house alight, and the flame set alight. Fatemiyah Zahra is narrated to have said, when the fire engulfed the door and the black smoke began to enter the house, I began to choke. I began to choke from the intensity of the smoke. In these moments, Fatemiyah Zahra rushed towards the door. Ya Mu'mineen, in order for her to stop the enemies from entering inside the house. But as Fatemiyah Zahra was stood behind the door, the enemy of Allah kicked open the door, crushing Fatima between the door and the wall. This is a young tender woman. This is the rose of Rasulullah. But they crushed her between the door and the wall. The enemy of Allah, when he heard the voice of Fatima, he was about to turn away. But then he remembered what Imam Ali did to his forefathers on the battlefield, and his heart's filled with anger. He says himself, I kicked the door a second time, further crushing Fatima between the door and the wall. Oh Mu'mineen, there was a protruding nail coming out from that door, a sharp nail that entered the body of Fatima, a sharp nail that punctured the lung of Fatima. ورا الباب اختفت فاطم ولا ذايت, عصرها المالهم روى ولا ذايت, بياذا بتوسدها المنية, يا والله بياذا
ذنب توسدها يا المنية. Fatemiyah الزهراء disappeared behind the door. She sought protection, yet he squeezed her. The one with no conscience, she sought protection. For what sin was she killed? The enemies of Allah entered the house. Ajarakum Allah. They see Fatemiyah and he slapped Fatemiyah on her cheeks. Ya mu'mineen, this is the rose of Rasulullah. Imam al-Sadiq said that when he slapped Fatemiyah, the earring broke and she fell to the floor. They didn't stop there. When they saw Fatemiyah laying on the floor, he kicked Fatemiyah on her stomach. Wa Muhsina. If Muhsin hadn't been killed between the door and the wall, surely the kick to her stomach would have killed him. She calls out, Fidda Sannidini, Fidda, come to my aid. This narration breaks the hearts of the mu'mineen. When Fatemiyah al-Zahra was laying there on the floor with her face beaten and with a broken rib, acknowledging that Muhsin is now shaheed, and tears coming down from her cheek, she turns across the room, and who does her eyes meet? It meets the eyes of Amir al-Mu'mineen. What horror, what anger, what rage coming from Imam Ali. But what could he do? For this was instructions from Rasulullah to be patient and not to wage war. After some time, Fatemiyah al-Zahra lays there on her deathbed, and Amir al-Mu'mineen began to converse with her. Fatemiyah al-Zahra would say to Imam Ali, this is the last day on earth for me, and I am both happy and sad. Oh Fatemiyah, why happy? For soon my troubles will be over and I will be meeting Rasulullah. But oh Fatemiyah, why sad? Because I will be departing from you, Ya Ali. Ajarakumullah. She conversed with him in telling him requests and orders for him to carry out. She told him, oh Ali, keep Fidda in the house. She was more of a servant. She was more like a daughter than a servant to me. Oh Ali, go bury me in the night so the enemies do not attend my janazah. As Amir al-Mu'mineen was listening to her, he would watch his wife as the soul was leaving her body. Then she continued to say, oh Ali, I know how much you love my children, but be careful of Hoseine, for he loved me dearly. Be like a mother to him also. She continued and then she stopped and she said, farewell Ali, bid me farewell. Amir al-Mu'mineen choked with sorrow and tears coming out from his eyes. Only Allah knows how he had the power to say, goodbye Fatemiyah, goodbye Ya Zahra. It is narrated that Amir al-Mu'mineen eulogized after the death of Fatemiyah. نفسي على زفراتها معبوسة، يا ليتها خرجت مع الزفرات، لا خير بعدك في الحياة، إنما أبكي مخافة أن تطول عمري. So long that I will live, I shall moan and sigh. I wish my soul came out with moans and sighs. There is no no goodness in life after you. No, I cry because I fear my life will be prolonged after you. Remember the time when the angel of death came to the house of Rasulullah to take his soul. He knocked on the door out of respect to Fatima, and now the angel of death comes to the house, but he finds no door, and he sees Fatima to Zahra in this state. We ask you, O angel of death, did you ask permission for angel Jibreel and Mikael to come with you to help you and assist you in removing that nail from her lung? Ajarakum Allah. Later Amir al-Mu'mineen was washing the body of Fatima to Zahra. This narration truly breaks the hearts of the Mu'mineen because of what's happened to the heart of the Lion of Allah, Imam Ali. As he was washing the body, Asma narrates that he suddenly stopped and he began to cry intensely. This warrior on a battlefield starts to cry intensely. Oh Imam Ali, why do you cry? What's happened, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen? He stopped washing the body when his hand came over the cracked ribs of Fatima. Rahim Allah man nada wa Fatima. Rahim Allah man nada wa Muhsina. Oh Ali, they stole your rights from you, Ya Ali. Oh Ali, they broke into your house, Ya Ali. Oh Ali, they slapped your wife on her face, Ya Ali. Oh Ali, they beat her down to the ground, Ya Ali. Oh Ali, they cracked her ribs. How did she breathe during those days, Ya Ali? And Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, they killed your unborn child Muhsin, Ya Ali. Rahim Allah man nada wa Muhsina. Rahim Allah man nada wa shahida. Rahim Allah man nada wa mazluma. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. ماتم في سيد الزهراء. يا زهراء 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 يا زهراء. Your voices, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra. Come closer, brothers. Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra. Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra. Jazakum Allah khair al-jaza. This poem written in the sense of the Shia speaking about how they have given injustice to Sayyid Muhsin by not understanding the musibah properly and actually respecting Fatima Zahra. How have my eyes been so blinded? 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 How have my eyes been so? Your voices, how have? We can do louder, brothers at the back. How have my eyes been so blinded? How have blinded from the tales we've read, from the stories said, the lesson learnt. But one we neglect, the one we forget, the door that's bent, the screams that we heard, the breaking of ribs, the empty crib. Until this day it sways, engulfed in a blaze. It still does rock, it still does rock. And I turn away, yet she did lay. I turn away, yet she did lay. Holding him tight, Al-Hoseine. I turn away, yet she did lay. I turn away, yet she did lay. Holding him tight, Al-Hoseine. How have my eyes been so blinded? How have MashaAllah, how have my eyes been so blinded? How have think does my mind of the world so unkind to take his life? So I too read of the child that's bled before his birth. Inside the stomach he'd smell the smoke, he would choke, his little lungs wail, his organs fail, he is confused. Muhsin, my child, a faint voice would say. Muhsin, my child, a faint voice would say. Please strong now stay, Al-Muhsin. Muhsin, my child, a faint voice would say. Please strong now stay, Al-Muhsin. How have my eyes been so blinded? I want to hear you. How have louder? How have my eyes been? The fire ignites, the door sets alight, the nail pierced, squeezed on the wall. In pain she does call, spare my son, the light of my eyes. How can he die before we meet? I knew he'd bleed as a shaheed, but not so young, but not so young. His little heart stops, to the floor she drops. His little heart stops, to the floor she drops. Prepare the shroud for Muhsin. His little heart stops, to the floor she drops. Prepare the shroud for Muhsin. How have my eyes been so blinded? How have my eyes, MashaAllah, how have my eyes been so? How have my I I take a step back and think about all that I read, how for the truth even the youth would give their life, and how I live so oblivious to history. This story that happened so that I learn, and yet I neglected, and yet I neglected all these years, Ya Al-Muhsin, and yet I neglected all these years, Ya Al-Muhsin. How have my eyes been so dead? How have my eyes been so? How have my eyes been so blinded? How have my eyes? This child was special, the unborn grandson of the Rasul, like his brothers Hassan, Hoseine, a sacrifice. So I do vow to not allow a year pass if I have not mourned over this great loss, and tell everyone of the youngest one, tell everyone of the youngest one to give his life, Al-Muhsin, and tell everyone of the youngest one to give his life, Al-Muhsin. How have my eyes been so blinded? How have MashaAllah, how have my eyes been so blinded? How have I'll carry his light, this world's dark, a shining star, who in times of stress his holy light never far. The poetess Sayyida Fatemiyah al-Hakim. I'll carry his light in this world's dark, a shining star, who in times of stress his holy light never far. The one with no sin, the one with scarred skin, the child Muhsin, his holy name I will proclaim till I too pass, till I too pass. Even at death, with my last breath, even at death, with my last breath, Ya Al-Muhsin, Ya Al-Muhsin, even at death, with my last breath, Ya Al-Muhsin, Ya Al-Muhsin. How have my eyes been so blinded? How have my eyes? How have my
eyes been so blinded? How have Indeed, how have my eyes been so blinded? How have my eyes been so? Oh Zahra, condolences, oh Zahra, oh Zahra, oh Zahra, condolences. Voices, oh Zahra, condolences, oh Zahra, oh Zahra. Condolences, oh Zahra. Every mother's dream to see her children grow up and prosper in front of her eyes, to raise them well and in a happy life, to see them live with their joy-filled smiles. This every mother's greatest of dreams, but distant from you, Fatemiyah, this seems. Do stay strong, oh Fatemiyah, do stay strong. Oh Zahra, condolences, oh Zahra, oh Zahra. The banging door did bring a heavy tone. This fear, Fatemiyah, your son hadn't known. With flames and the smoke your surroundings fill, you held your stomach and all became still. He gave you comfort within all the fear, but Fatemiyah, his departure now near. Hold him close, oh Fatemiyah, hold him close. Oh Zahra, condolences, oh Zahra, oh Zahra, oh Zahra. Oh Zahra, oh Zahra, oh Zahra, condolences. You hear their voices and can only think. His voice you'll hear, his voice you'll not hear. His life at a brink. His small hands will never warm up your own. His laugh now will never fill up your home. In the last moments for him make a prayer, that's this pain his little body can bear. Make dua, oh Fatemiyah, make dua. Oh Zahra, condolences, oh Zahra, oh Zahra, oh Zahra, condolences. The angel of death shyly you he greets, saddened that now Muhsin's fate he must meet. Make a prayer with your heart that's now fast beat, for heaven lies beneath the mother's feet. Do cherish your final moments with him, your unborn martyr that's killed with no sin. His soul flies to the heavens, his soul flies. Oh Zahra, condolences, oh Zahra, oh Zahra, condolences, oh Zahra, oh Zahra. Condolences, oh Zahra, despite all this trauma strong you stayed. Whilst choking in smoke for your son you prayed. The poetry say the Fatemiyah al-Hakim, despite all this trauma strong you stayed. Whilst choking in smoke for your son you prayed. And though on your home door fire they laid, under God's mercy you did find your shade. You teach in hardship, put trust in the Lord, and for our endurance we'll get reward. You had faith in our Lord, you had faith. Oh Zahra, condolences, oh Zahra, oh Zahra, oh Zahra, condolences, oh louder, oh Zahra.
Your great stance now etched within history. Ingrained is your life besides history. For what teaches us besides history? To have patience and not to have worry. Allah's plan is greater than what we plan. This we did learn from the way you did stand. Never left, never left God's great truth, you never left. Oh Zahra, condolences, oh Zahra, oh Zahra, oh Zahra.
Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life in the way of Allah. All together. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first to give his life in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life in the they denied him a chance to see his beloved mother's face of beauty. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give Ahsan, way of Allah. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life in what state did they find baby Muhsin's body? In what state did they find baby Muhsin's body? Crushed against the wall, alive they found nobody. Crushed against the wall, alive they found nobody. Protecting him from wounds were the ribs of Zahra. He gave his life in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give. Ahsant, ahsant. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life in the In what state did they find baby Muhsin's body? In what state did they find baby Muhsin's body? Crushed against the wall, alive they found nobody. Crushed against the wall, alive they found nobody. Protecting him from wounds were the ribs of Zahra. He gave his life in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life. He never got a chance to play with his grandfather. He never got a chance to play with his grandfather. He never got a chance to utter the word mother. He never got a chance to utter the word mother. Zahra never did rock him to sleep. He slept in her womb. Oh, what a tragedy. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra. His life in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first. Ahsan. How would Zahra and Haydar tell this story? How would Zahra and Haydar tell this story? That they had to bury the smallest body. That they had to bury the smallest body. This was the beginning of their grief, the most grief any house has seen. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra, to give his life. Saint Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life. How would Zahra and Haydar tell this story? How would Zahra and Haydar tell this story? That they had to bury the smallest body, that they had to bury the smallest body. This was the beginning of their grief, the most grief any house has seen. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life. Allah, Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to. They tried to hide the facts of his death. They tried to hide the facts of his death, just as they tried to hide the fact of his father's birth, just as they tried to hide the facts of his father's birth. The proof of their grief is in the Ummah, who never stopped mourning for Zahra. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra who gave his life in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life in the way of Allah. Muhsin was the first child of Zahra to give his life in the. Oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra, louder, oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra. In Medina a green dome weeps, grieving Prophet Muhammad. The door where revelation falls is fresh with familiar blood. The lovers of Ahlul Bayt know to whom this pure blood belongs. Eyes shrivel from the weight of tears and turns into grey black hair. Oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra. Louder together. Oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah. Crying turns the day into night above the grave of Hassan. 6 feet beneath the earth, Hassan clings to his mother again, just like when he was a child, begging her to awaken. Even in death he wants Zahra alive and breathing in air. Oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra. There is a land where clouds rain blood, owned by the son of Haydar. There is a land where clouds rain blood, owned by the son of Haydar. It's as if mourning Fatemiyah forever is Karbala. Hussein tells Abbas, bring your hands, it's time to mourn my mother. Brother, the crushing of my ribs were all in honor of hers. Oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah Zahra, oh Fatemiyah, oh Fatemiyah Zahra. While the universe mourns Zahra Muhsin and her broken rib. Zahra is lamenting in Sham by the grave of her Zainab. Daughter, we both breathed in smoke, but I wasn't taken captive. Just like when you cried out Abbas, I cried Ali when in fear. Oh Fatima Zahra, oh Fatima Zahra, oh Fatima Zahra, oh Fatima Zahra. For the last time with your loudest voice, oh Fatima Zahra, Fatima Zahra, oh Fatima Zahra, oh Fatima Zahra. Jazakallah. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
توجه الزيارة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم ولعن أعداءهم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا مولاتي يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين وعلى 9 المأسومين من ذريتك، علي بن الحسين السجاد ومحمد بن علي الباقر وجعفر بن محمد الصادق وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم وعلي بن موسى الرضا ومحمد بن علي الجواد وعلي بن محمد الهادي والحسن بن علي العسكري والحجة بن الحسن القائم المهدي، عجل الله فرجه وسهل الله مخرجه وظهورك. والسلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. We raise our hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask for the intercession of Zahra Salamullah alayha and Hazrat Muhsin alayhi salam to forgive all of our sins and the sins of our marhumeen. We ask through them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this majlis from us inshallah and our efforts towards it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through their intercession to keep all of the mu'mineen around the world safe. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through their intercession to allow us to be amongst those who serve in the army of the one whose slogan will be Ya li tharat al-Hoseine wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa ali baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. We ask you to offer a surah al-Fatiha for all of our marhumeen and all of those who have passed in the past few days. And inshallah before it a salawat upon Muhammad and the family of Muhammad.